impressed with him because of his defense. He was getting hit easy and knocked down often. But seemingly he's improved his defense and his all-around boxing skills.
He's been down 4 times against lesser opponents. That's because of a tendency to simply drop his hands and walk in. Recently, he's fought with more responsible defense, and after his devastation of Solis, who fought Manny Pacquiao a few years back, compared him favorably to Pacquiao.
Gamboa went through a period where he was becoming so much of a responsible boxer, he wasn't fun to watch anymore. Against Salido, who wound up beating Lopez, that win looks good now. Gamboa was less than scintillating. Against Solis, he was putting it all together. Responsible defense, amazing offense, and he looked like an emerging super fighter.
And now that both fighters are in the ring together, we can see the difference you pointed out, Emmanuel, in how their gloves are wrapped. Tell us again what the potential effect is.
Well, it's one of the things that some commissioners stop. It's called skinning the gloves, where you take the strings of the glove and you try to move them down below the regular wrist area, and the more that you can get the gloves and then you pull it back, it takes the weight off. But in this case here, I don't think they did that, but they've used the taping a lot lower on Gamboa.
So in effect, what you're trying to do is you're trying to turn an 8-ounce glove into a 6-ounce glove.
Yes, you pull the weight back.
Pushing the padding down into the wrist.
Yes, that's what you do, and that's exactly what happened. It's a little small thing, but it can make a difference going down the stretch.
Well, particularly when the harder gloves are on the hands of the faster-handed fighter.
Yes.
Could lead to cuts.
But so far, you know, I'm looking at Ponce de Leon. He's keeping a good tight defense. He hasn't left hips open at all. And, you know, he still is a big puncher. It's something you can never count out his punching power. Overall, he's just maybe a little bit slower, but his punching power is very good still.
Well, he's more experienced than Gamboa, and he looks very relaxed in there in the first round.
He's so much better than he was 3 or 4 years ago. He has more dimension to his game now, Ponce de Leon.
Well, I mean, even though he wound up on the losing end against Broner, the way he fought had to give him confidence. Harold Letterman scored the fight for him. Many felt that he had done at least as well as Broner in the fight. And Broner's a prize prospect with a lot of talent.
Well, he's going tit for tat this round and may have won the round up until this point.
He just outlanded Gamboa.
Yes.
Middle of the ring, landed straight left hand.
And he's making Gamboa's punches go to the outside of his defense. He's moving and smothering the punches by moving inside, which is surprising.
And he's relaxed, and he's timing things so well that so far the big speed advantage for Gamboa isn't showing up.
No, it's not.
Long jab for Ponce de Leon. Pronounced southpaw stance. He will open his shoulders to slug when he gets inside. Go back. Hooks. Round 2 begins. CompuBox numbers in round 1. A slight statistical edge to Ponce de Leon, who landed 9 as opposed to 6 for Gamboa, and threw a few more as well. But Harold Letterman scores the first round for Gamboa, the 8-1 favorite in the fight.
De Leon reminds me of a southpaw pitcher who's finally learned how to pitch, has a feel for it. He talked to us yesterday in our fighter meeting about changing the speed of his punches and even the direction midair. But here it's not helping him against an overwhelming offensive fighter in Gamboa, at least not in that moment.
Looks as though Gamboa has decided to assert himself much more offensively in the second round. At least that's been the case in the first 45 seconds. Good right hand by Gamboa. De Leon walked right into it.
With Gamboa's hand speed, he should try to force exchanges with Ponce de Leon, because Ponce de Leon, his punches are wilder and looper. And inside of those punches, you can get Gamboa can get away with much shorter punches, so he should try to force it into exchanges.
But I mentioned that, Jim, because about his changing punches in midair and the timing, because you mentioned De Leon's timing, and that's really the only way he has to beat
Yes,
his
if he
speed,
keeps the fight at this
speed.
distance, right. But if he crowds him and Gamboa makes him punch fast, he cannot fight too good. He has to have loop room for his punches, just like that.
Pick it up, okay? Let's go.
Referee Alan Huggins has warned Ponce de Leon for the low blow on that looping punch from the outside. Good left hand by Ponce de Leon. Right hand in return by Gamboa.
fighting this way, I'm surprised that Ponce is doing very well.
Good body shot by Ponce de Leon. Gamboa came back to the left.
Not that it matters anymore, guys, because Manuel Lopez lost, but Lopez has finally looked better against an opponent than Gamboa. Lopez knocked out De Leon in 1 round. Otherwise, Gamboa's blown away the opposition more easily than Lopez has.
Well, Juan Manuel Lopez's great punch is his very quick right hook. And he caught Ponce de Leon with a counter right hook that he never saw coming. That's what created the knockout.
Kind of like those 2 shots from Gamboa.
Exactly right. Didn't see those coming either.
That's what Gamboa needs to do is force exchanges, make him fight toe-to-toe.
As he said, I love to trade. I love to trade because I know I'll get there faster.
Punch it out, punch your way out, punch your way out, punch your way out.
Think Antonio Margarito in Dallas. Think Shannon Briggs in Hamburg. No chance. Go get punished. Power punches in round 2. Gamboa was 19 out of 43, and Ponce de Leon was 12 out of 31. Well, the first 2 rounds, by our lights, have been fairly close, but our unofficial scorer, Harold Letterman, has given both of them to the favorite, Gamboa. Good right hand by Gamboa there. Little by little, Gamboa's dominating speed advantage is beginning to show up. Good hard body shot by Ponce de Leon. Missing wildly, going for Gamboa's head. Might do better to keep focusing on the body where he's landed some significant shots. Another solid right hand by Gamboa, countering the pawing shot by Ponce de Leon.
De Leon is wide and wild, but Emmanuel, he has a kind of funky rhythm that
yes,
makes it
I was going to say that.
unpredictable.
He does have a rhythm that is very unpredictable for Gamboa. And he's doing very well, believe it or not, even though he looks a little slow and awkward. But his defense is pretty good, and Gamboa has not been able to get a good rhythm of his own yet.
Good left hook by Gamboa there. Ponce de Leon is living off his timing, choosing the right moments and the right punches.
Yes, he's not matching him speed for speed, but he has his timing element down there. He's doing very well with Gamboa.
Yeah, and that said, I think Gamboa is winning this round, you know, decisively, landing better punches.
And when we talk about timing, and if you're a beginning fan, you wonder, okay, what do they mean by timing in boxing? Veterans will remember, oh, what a right hand by Gamboa. Veteran fans will remember watching the great Marco Antonio Barrera in the middle stages of his career when he became such a skilled boxer. He had an unbelievable knack for throwing the jab at the moment when the opponent didn't expect it.
He was an amazing fighter, especially when you consider he started out his career as a slugger and become one of the best technical boxers of recent years.
He didn't have speed, he had great timing.
All top fighters who are not fast must have the timing. They must have a delivery system. Julio Cesar Chavez was the same way. Great timing. By the way, both Klitschko brothers.
And there's another left hand over the top by Ponce de Leon. He misses that one, but the previous one caught the side of Gamboa's head.
Bernard Hopkins at this point in his career.
Perfect timing. Knows what to do and when to do it. Good left hand by Ponce de Leon. Again, well timed. De Leon landing 30. They both have thrown in the neighborhood of 140. The statistical numbers pretty even. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
I'd say, Jim, I get a 3-0, 30-27 Yuriorkis Gamboa, and I'll tell you why. The guy's got very heavy hands. You know, Jim, when everything else is equal, Gamboa wins the round. When he throws that lead right hand, he hurts you. I mean, you can feel the damage he does with his shots. He's extremely hard puncher. I mean, he sort of turns that right hand in. And I got to tell you, you know, Ponce de Leon waves at him a lot. He, you know, throws wide shots that really don't do a heck of a lot. On the other, Gamboa, when he hits you, he hurts you. And when you're judging a fight, you're up close. You got to judge velocity. You got to judge who's doing more damage. That's what Gamboa is doing. 3-0, Yuriorkis Gamboa.
I agree with
There
Harold.
you go. There you go.
I mean, we do give De Leon credit for doing better than anticipated early, but I don't know that he's actually won a round.
I can
that's
buy it.
right.
I can buy it. I agree too.
No talking.
I think I might have given him round one, but it was close. And I understand Harold's point. Gamboa is a very sharp puncher.
Very short, accurate, fast. Great body position at all times. Whereas Ponce de Leon gets off balance with his punches, where he loops his punches. If he misses a punch completely, he's usually off balance. Gamboa is always in position.
Now that Gamboa has become a reasonably responsible defender, you can see a path for him toward the upper stratospheres of the pound-for-pound rankings.
Come on.
There is something about him, though, that stops hardcore boxing people. You know, the obvious stuff is there, the speed, the punching power. Right there, you see stuff that other guys just can't do. But he just appears a little more vulnerable than Sergio Martinez and Broner and Mayweather and Pacquiao.
So far.
Yeah, he needs a few more performances
This is the way he should fight all
Right.
the way through.
like this, like he's
Just
fighting at the moment.
Yep. And here comes Ponce de Leon back.
No punches, no punches. Let it,
You look at Ponce de Leon's eyes and you see a very, very determined man, even though he's not that talented,
Let's go, let's go.
very determined.
Well, bottom line, they're both all man. They both fight with courage and style.
See Gamboa able to move De Leon clockwise, which is how you want a southpaw moving.
Ah, pick it up, pick it up.
Max Kellerman, you mentioned what some of us might call the big three in pound for pound. Pacquiao, Mayweather, Sergio Martinez. Make it four, add Nonito Donaire. All of them have had significantly more fights than Gamboa.
They have. There's something about those guys, too. You can watch them fighting even tricky southpaws, as Martinez did against in Zurich. And they leave you breathless. You know, every round after round, you're just amazed by what you're seeing. And Gamboa can do that, but he does it in spots. He doesn't consistently leave you that way. But as you mentioned, they're a little farther along in their pro careers than him.
Hard right hand by Gamboa momentarily wobbled Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon walked into it. This is the kind of fighter he is. If you hurt him, he wants to come back and hurt you right now.
I think more than get hurt is just his bad balance. That was when he was throwing one of those looping punches and was off balance and got hit. But I don't think he was ever seriously hurt at all.
And that may be the point he's trying to make.
And Gamboa, for a pretty slick guy, does like to mix it up. His instinct is to exchange. And it sometimes cost him, like you just seen.
As you said, Max, Gamboa fights in spurts. He shows greatness in spots and then he takes off. But he had over 300-some amateur fights and a phenomenal amateur background.
And maybe that's why, Emmanuel, maybe too many
Yes.
amateur fights in that
They get
terrible
the points
amateur
and
style.
they get ahead on a point and they take off. They'll say, well, you know, you're up 8-2. So they'll just take off and rest for a while and run to keep the points up.
And Gamboa's natural temperament, I think, is of a professional fighter. But if you have 300 fights under a certain system, it can leave an impact, an imprint on the way you fight.
But
Absolutely.
I tell you what, Ponce de Leon has got his attention tonight. I can tell you that. He's taking the best shots from Gamboa, and he's coming right back and actually landing a lot of clean blows right now at this time.
Oh, pick it
Well,
up, pick it up, pick it up.
anyone who doesn't respect Daniel Ponce de Leon is going to get his teeth rattled. He comes to bring everything he's got. And there's Harold's point. The looping punch from Ponce de Leon did some damage to Gamboa, but not as much damage as did Gamboa's straight, sharp right hand on the chin. Perfect illustration of what Harold Letterman told you before.
Ponce has his respect to the point, though, where Gamboa throws one crisp right hand and then gets out of there rather than follow up with a combination.
Good body shot by Ponce de Leon. Of 29. Ponce de Leon landed 15 of 35.
Over that corner, over that corner. Hey, give me a call, give me a call. Give me a towel. Give me a towel. Yes, over that corner right there.
Both fighters are in the fight, but if one fighter wins every round by small margins, he's got a shutout.
And I don't really care how many they throw, it's how many they land. They've landed the same number of punches.
Yep.
I agree with Harold, though, Gamboa's are more effective.
Well, and I mean, we saw that illustration in the middle of the last round. It was a perfect comparison. As Ponce de Leon landed what he wanted to land. It just wasn't that as effective a punch as what Gamboa brought back. Max, as we watch Yuriorkis Gamboa and Daniel Ponce de Leon midway through the 6th round of their fight, you recently did the sit-down face-off with Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez. How was that?
And Freddie Roach and Nacho Barristain in front of a giant TV screen showing highlights of their first 2 fights.
Tremendous.
Very interesting, especially when they got up and agreed to be posed in certain positions at key moments, and their trainers came and repositioned them where they would rather their fighters have been.
Marquez has been saying, Manny knows I beat him twice.
Well,
Manny may not feel exactly that way.
In terms of rounds, I think he did win more rounds, take the knockdowns out of the equation. But when you put the knockdowns in there, definitely not. They had 4
That's
knockdowns.
What won the fight
that's
for
what
Pacquiao.
won the fights, yeah. That's what won, got those.
That's what won the second fight. The first one was a draw. Good quick left hook inside by Gamboa. Ponce de Leon landed his own left hand.
Gamboa is starting to really feel himself in this round. Not only prancing around after hitting de Leon, but then following up with a quick combination to show him, well, I'm able to hit you when I want.
Even though Gamboa's with it, I think he's developing still a respect for Ponce de Leon as his fight's going on. Ponce de Leon seemed to be pushing him harder than any fight that I've saw him in as a professional fighter.
Absolutely. Ponce de Leon is competing with him every minute of the fight.
And I'm looking at the eyes and the facial expression and reading the vibes from Ponce de Leon. A very determined man. And there's no fear at all, either that much respect for Gamboa.
But it's hard to dent the confidence of Yuriorkis Gamboa. Gamboa is very businesslike in his approach here.
But Gamboa has not proven to Ponce de Leon that he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants to do it, as he's proven to many fighters.
Yes, that's the truth. That's the difference here.
Well, that was interesting. Gamboa backed out of an exchange. How many times has that happened? Hard right hand by Gamboa. Found the target from a long distance away. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Well, Jim, I still have Yuriorkis Gamboa winning this fight. 6-0, 60-54. Yuriorkis Gamboa basically on his power. I mean, you know, the guy just keeps landing the hardest shots for the outside. He's a very good ring general. You know, his distance is perfect. He just keeps the fight far enough so that Ponce de Leon has to use that herky-jerky style, you know, and wave at Gamboa in order to hit him. He's got to get inside to hit Gamboa. Gamboa's real good at keeping distance. He does that very well. Round 6, Gamboa did a couple of different things. He went southpaw. He used that, his arms across the chest defense. So, you know, he knows what he's doing in there. Very, very smart fighter. 6-0, Gamboa.
The timing of when a fighter beats an opponent is significant in terms of evaluating the quality of the win. Ponce de Leon now, I believe, is a much better fighter than he was several years ago. And at least on Harold's card, here's Gamboa in a less than spectacular performance, winning every round against a fighter who was once quality and whose quality has gotten better in recent years.
Well, a fighter who has held a world title for whatever that might be worth at any given moment, and some of them are completely worthless. some of them do mean something.
And I think he's better now than he was then.
I agree.
You know, he's got two very crafty, fast fighters back-to-back right now that he's fighting Gamboa.
And Gamboa's doing better than Broner did.
Broner, that's what I'm saying, and he's doing very well considering that he's such a slow fighter for a small weight division.
I mentioned earlier that Ponce de Leon is a product of an extremely reclusive Indian tribe in Mexico called the Tarahumara. There was a terrific book about him published here in the United States last year. Tarahumara Indians have been known to run 200, 300 miles barefoot in foot races. They drink a corn beer concoction by the barrel, achieving levels of blind drunkenness that would be the envy of any Skid Row drunk. And yet they go out and work the next day. They have an unusual culture all their own. Most noteworthy, Ponce de Leon has now lived in East Los Angeles and almost all Mexican community for 9 years and says that he has never once run into another member of his tribe. That's astonishing.
You've seen Gamboa switch up to southpaw a couple times this round. There he does it again.
Yeah, he feels so comfortable. He feels he can do what he wants. He has that much control with his talent in this fight.
If that's the case, Emmanuel, I think he should increase the offensive output.
I agree with you.
That will be fun.
A lot of fun.
Let's go.
Combi box numbers in the 7th round. Gamboa starting to put a little more distance between himself and De Leon. Gamboa landing 21 punches in that round out of 51. Ponce de Leon 11 out of 49. Harold Letterman still scoring a shutout for Gamboa, but it's not a lopsided shutout. It's a shutout in which every round has been interesting.
Okay, let's go. All right? Good. Touch him up.
It's because Gamboa's pitching a shutout, but on offense he's hitting singles and an occasional double, and he's capable of hitting home runs. He mentioned to us also yesterday in the fighter meeting, Gamboa did, that hearing criticism in the American press has motivated him to put together the complete package, as he did in the Solis fight, where we saw an emerging super fighter. He's certainly in control here. He's a superb fighter, but this is not the kind of performance that makes you start thinking about Martinez and Donaire and Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Round 8 of a scheduled 12 in Atlantic City. Yuriorkis Gamboa of Cuba and the United States in the blue, red, and white trunks against Daniel Ponce de Leon of Mexico in the silver trunks. Gamboa trying to cement his status as the #1 featherweight in the world, and so far doing it against a spirited, competitive opponent, Ponce de Leon. And now their heads come together and clash, and there's blood above the left eye of Ponce de Leon.
Accidental headbutt. Check him out, Doc. Accidental headbutt.
Let's take a look at the headbutt. Bang. Conventional fighter against a southpaw. Both guys trying to be offensively aggressive at times. It's the kind of thing which was bound to happen.
By way of technical unanimous decision, Yuriorkis, el ciclón de Guantánamo, Gamboa.